As with anything, we make mistakes, and Excel is no exception. There will be times when we take certain actions and we'd rather not have the effect of them take place because sometimes it's pretty drastic. So maybe I'm a novice in Excel and I've realized that these numbers are all incorrect. So maybe I just click row 2 and that highlights them all. And I'm not too sure what to do here. So on the Home tab, I see a choice here called Delete. Delete cells. That sounds right. I want to delete these cells. But now I realized I did a lot more than I wanted to, and it got rid of that other data. I'd like to undo that. There's an undo arrow in the quick access toolbar. Second button from the left up there. Notice it's got a keystroke shortcut, Control Z, an easy keystroke combination. Two keys very close to one another. Undo. Let's undo this. By the way, when you point there, the word undo is followed by the last action that you took. Now, sometimes it's not exact. In other words, it's a little vague, but in this case, it doesn't say delete cells or delete rows, but we want to undo that. And it can be a real lifesaver at certain times. There's no question about that. Now, let's explore this a little bit. There's another arrow up there called Redo. It's to the right of it. I'm going to make some changes here, and you may or may not know some of the features I'm about to use, but they're on the Home tab. I'm going to make this cell bold and make this one here italics. Now, that isn't a great design feature. I'm going to click and drag across these and make them yellow. And maybe I'm just exploring some of the features, but I've decided I don't really like those. Now I can press Control Z repeatedly to undo not only my last action, but the one before, the one before. But you'll notice here that the undo button has a tiny little arrow to its right, a drop arrow, a down arrow. I'm going to click it, and here are recent actions that I can undo. You can only undo consecutive actions. So I could undo my last 3 actions, or 4 or 5, all the way back to 8. Ultimately, you can undo up to 100 of your last actions. Now, I've just opened Excel recently, so I can't go back that far. But let's say I want to undo these last 4 actions here. Now, when you undo, the actions that you undid are then recoverable, if need be, in the category called Redo. If we click the drop arrow there, here are the actions that I've just undone. So it sounds kind of funny to say it, but if you'd like to undo the undo, then you do a redo. So maybe I'll go back here and redo these. Now, obviously we're just exploring here, but undo and redo have a relationship with one another. Control Z will undo the action. Control Y will take you in the other direction. I'm pressing Control Y here. Now I'll press Control Z a few times, going backward the other way. Gets a little confusing at times, but you want to have that knowledge, that comfort that says, okay, I can make some serious mistakes. That certainly is not my goal, nor do I want to, but yet we can recover from these. There are certain actions, however, that you cannot undo. And although we're not going to be trying any of these, if you were to, on one of the sheet tabs, say the current one here, undo, redo, if we right click here, here are some actions here. These are actions that we cannot undo. And also on the View tab up in the ribbon, many of the features here we cannot undo. But for the most part, the commands that destroy data, those are the ones we worry about. And sometimes we make them inadvertently. We want to be able to undo those, either Control Z repeatedly, or in the case of just one action, Control Z, or the undo button up in the quick access toolbar. And from time to time, although not as often, you'll be using redo as well. There could be certain actions where you're trying a particular chart type. You may have seen column charts, bar charts in Excel. Sometimes you'll create a bar chart and not like it, and then switch to a column chart, and then maybe reconsider. You could press Control Z and Control Y and kind of go back and forth and assess the two. A really handy tool and sometimes really valuable. Undo and redo.